Welcome back to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan. I've learned some things over the last week. I think my camera is now on full HD instead of 720. So hopefully it looks better, or you can at least see how much I don't look better. I also got some advice on Twitter about what I'm doing wrong on here, because a lot of people want their YouTube or their BookTube channels to have exponential growth, right? Approaching infinity, and I feel like I'm probably approaching zero. It seems like every video has less and less viewers. My dad thinks that's telling me something, but I think I'm just, maybe I shouldn't post this in the middle of the night. Maybe I should wait for a better time to publish it. I don't know. But I got some good advice. So some of the stuff I was told was maybe don't say episode, because then you wouldn't start at episode 8 or episode 9. You would start at episode 1 and it would be dated, and you'd see some of my early rough stuff. But it hasn't gotten that much better. Timestamps, I don't know how to do that yet. I did add some kind of preview video, which I thought was pretty cool, and I found out that you can use free music from YouTube editor. So I try to do that. I don't know how that's come out. I think it looks cool, but I don't know. So we'll see. And titles. And also I should have some kind of better thumbnail. One person said I should be a more attractive female, but I don't think that's going to happen. So today I am going to talk about a few things. I think 2 videos ago, are we calling them videos? Not really video. 2 recordings ago, I said I was going to tell you about the book that I bought about a year ago, that I bought on April 20th, 2020, that required an agreement with my wife that I wouldn't buy a book for a year for myself. But I also said my wife was pretty flexible with that, and there were a number of exceptions to that rule. So I'll show you that book. It was one of the more expensive books I've purchased, but it's also really cool, and I'm happy I bought it. And it was interesting. I'll tell you the story behind it. I finished the book this week. I either finished 1 or 2 books, but I think I already talked about the other book a little bit. So the book I finished was Agent M. Agent M is about Maxwell Knight. Maxwell Knight was an MI5 spy in spied for, or caught spies for England, starting in the 20s and through the 50s. Agent M was great. I actually sent an email to the guy who wrote it, Henry Hemming, and he got back to me the next day, which is pretty cool. But I didn't know there's a time period. One, I know some stuff about England, but I don't really know about their intelligence services much. And this was a nice crash course in that. It was also an interesting time period because I really haven't read anything that started before World War One. He was born in 1900. I haven't read anything that really started before World War One, and ended into the Cold War. I don't think. Certainly nothing nonfiction. So this was that. He caught a lot of double agents. He caught a lot of spies for Nazi Germany, for Italy, for Communist Soviet Union, and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. He also, Maxwell Knight, Max Knight. So he's known as M, right? And if you've read James Bond or you've seen the movies, there's a character named M. It's based off of Maxwell Knight. Also in John le Carré, there's a character in A Perfect Spy named Jack Brotherhood, and that was based off of Maxwell Knight. John le Carré worked for Maxwell Knight at MI5. So just really cool stuff. Maxwell Knight M, when he retired, actually before he retired, his whole life he was really into raising animals, and he had a bunch of weird pets. So he would write a whole bunch of naturalist books and books about raising animals and keeping different pets in your house. He wrote all these while he was a spy. And I have a copy of a book called A Cuckoo in the House that he signed in 1955. So that was something I found that I was excited about. But then I wanted to learn more about the man, Agent M, Maxwell Knight. So that's that. The book I'm reading now, the next book I got, it just came out this past Tuesday. Noise by Daniel Kahneman, Cass Sunstein, and I don't know if that's Olivier Siboney? Oliver Siboney? I don't know how to say that name. Daniel Kahneman won what is essentially the Nobel Prize in Economics. Cass Sunstein wrote a book called Nudge with a guy named Richard Thaler. This is kind of an extension of the book that Daniel Kahneman is known for, Thinking Fast and Slow. This is kind of the next step in that. So it's talking about noise and biases, but it's behavioral economics based. So I'm excited about this. I started it. I already like it. And I've been looking forward to this for a while. So when it came out on Tuesday, I picked it up and I started reading it. I want to do the kids' book before the end. Now, Noelia, my daughter, is going to sleep right now, so I decided to show a book that I had as a kid, and I think it's from 1987, that I liked as a kid. It was my favorite book as a kid, and eventually it'll be Noelia's, but I love this. Actually, okay, so this is the book. It's Simon & Schuster's Guide to Mammals from 1987, and the cool thing is it has... My parents got me a little press kind of thing to mark all of my library, like the library of Ryan. So that's in there. I would not use that on books now. It just has a bunch of really cool pictures of different animals and mammals specifically. And there was a girl that I went to school with. I used to love Golden Line Tamarins. There was a girl that I went to school with who I thought looked like a monkey in this book, and I called this the Emily monkey. She didn't look like a monkey, but she had a haircut that was similar to this. She didn't have that face, right? But if this was kind of cut off and it was pure black hair, that was Emily's hair. So I called this Emily monkey. It's really a owl-faced monkey. Owl-faced monkey. There's just a lot of cool stuff in here. I used to look at this book all the time. It's in rough shape because it was just such a great book. And Noelia likes looking at it too. She likes animals. So it's just got a whole bunch of mammals. I don't know if there's anything in here that's extinct now because it's been a while. But here's another one. This animal is a slender Iolus. It used to pee on its hands to clean them. It had a picture of its hands in here. And they're kind of like warty looking, but it would pee on its hands. Look at that. That thing pees on its hands. That's part of its behavior. There, I'm really bad at moving this around. There we go. All right. So the book that made me stop buying books for a year. It's actually two books. It's two volumes, and I'll show you volume 1 first. The book is Codex Seraphinianus. And it was done by a guy named Luigi Serafini in 1981, I believe. And for a couple years, Luigi Serafini's from... this was printed in Milan. Luigi walked around Italy. He took some psychedelic drugs. He had some kind of relation... Not a sexual relationship, but he had some kind of relationship with a cat. That was like his best friend at the time or whatever. And he went around taking notes and drawing pictures. And what he ended up doing was he wrote a book called Codex Seraphinianus, and it's essentially supposed to be an encyclopedia of another world. And not that he believes it's from another world, but he wants you to approach this book like you would as a young child who's looking through an encyclopedia but can't read. So it's kind of making up what he sees. The fun thing about this book is it's really weird stuff. And I'm going to see if I can show you what it is. It came with a letter from the publisher. It's in a number of different languages. Italian, French, I believe, and English. And then this book is signed by Luigi Serafini. So here's an example. This appears to be trees that are uprooting themselves, and they're walking to the river, and they're going for a walk. They're going for a swim. That's what's happening in this picture. There are strange animals. Really, let's see. Here's some birds, different kinds of birds. And the reason it's done in a way that's supposed to feel like you're seeing it for the first time and you can't really read it is the language is not based off of anything, right? Like it's got this weird script, but it's not based on anything. And Luigi Serafini says that it doesn't mean anything. There's no secret code to it. But a lot of people think there probably is. So they challenge him on that. And he's pretty consistently said there's nothing encoded in these books. But the thing is, somebody figured out the numbering system for Codex Surfenianus is based off of a root of 21. So if that's true, then maybe it does mean something. Maybe there is some kind of code. So that was volume 1. This is volume 2. It's a little less appropriate of a cover. It's people doing it, and then they turn into an alligator. And this one has it's really weird stuff. Like this is one of my favorite pictures in that. It looks like a Truco card. Like it's like people putting up a house of cards and that person's directing them on what they should be doing. Those are, I think, I don't know if they're Spanish-based cards or what, but where my wife's from Uruguay, they play Truco, and they look like those kinds of cards. They're basically like poker cards, but different numbers. So that's from 1981. Those were fairly expensive. The cool thing was I bought them from a store in Milan, and when I contacted them, I just came up with a random number. I went down quite a bit in price, and they took it, and I was surprised by that. And it turns out that so the response, I was like, "Wow, that's great, thank you very much." And he's like, "Well, I usually don't go down that much, but you're an American, and we owe you a debt of gratitude." I've never had anything like that happen. I'm not even sure. I think I've probably heard about stuff like that, but not from people I really know. And I couldn't figure out what it was. Why he would say that? Well, it turns out his grandfather was part of the partisan resistance in Italy to Mussolini during World War II. So he actually fought with the Allies to free Italy from dictatorship. Mussolini. So basically the town he was in was freed from that resistance, from the partisan fighters, and from the Allied forces that came through and helped fight in World War II, which I thought was very neat. So I was very thankful that he gave me the major discount, but it was also a cool story. So I told you Codex Surfenianus. That copy is the copy that I had to make a deal with my wife for. But later I got this. This is Codex Surfenianus 2. It's not quite as nice as the first edition, but it's very nice. It's much nicer than I thought it was going to be. This has most of the same stuff. It actually has some additional illustrations. It's also not as expensive, so I'm not as scared to hold it up. I don't want to rip it, but if I did, I wouldn't cry. So this has a number of new pictures in the front, mostly. And it also has something called the Decodex in the back. And this just has a description in multiple languages about the process of making Codex Seraphinianus. This copy is from 2013. So if you want to get something, this is probably maybe $100, $150. It's expensive. It's big. It's a big book. It's very cool. But I honestly, if you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, this is what you can get, and it's very nice and it's very close to the original. And you even get more photographs. It's not as rare, but it's very cool. You don't lose really anything buying the later copies. In fact, you get more illustrations. So that's it. Codex Seraphinianus. It took me a week or two to figure out how to say that correctly. By Luigi Serafini. It's cool. It's one of my very important books, my VIBs, and I am appreciative that my wife let me get it. And I like displaying it. But that's it now. So what I'm going to try to do is, I told you I got some feedback on how I've been doing and what my videos look like. What I'm going to try to do is start editing them a little bit. Probably not this one. It's late. I'm going to try to change up when I post them too. I don't know if I just am too quick to put them up, but it's not probably the best timing for that. And also I'm going to try to keep them to a shorter time period. I'm being up in the 20s. I'm going to keep it around 15 or below 20 minutes. So hopefully at some point I'll be able to start adding pictures to the, like, some kind of custom made thumb. I'm blanking. I'm completely blanking. I want to change it up so that you get more information in the image and you don't have to read it through the description, because I think most people don't do that. That's the feedback I've received. So that's it tonight. I hope to have a real kids book instead of one that I used as a kid. And I should be getting my Dune. I see so many people with this copy of Dune, so I can't wait to get it back, because I do feel like this is really going to make it feel like I'm more in the booktube community. So thanks again for being here. At this point, if it keeps going the way it's going, about a half or a quarter of a person is going to watch this video. We can't get to 0. I guess technically we can, but if we're just approaching 0, then I guess that's better than 0. So if you are watching this, thank you for watching that. And you may be my wife or my mom or a coworker. I did get one person to view that's a Pen Your Roll fan, so thanks, Alex, for watching the videos. And please come back and check out some more cool books. And I will talk to you later. Thanks for joining me tonight.